They say that seven is a perfect number. Well, in the Bible, I guess seven means complete. And I was just thinking how John's Gospel mentions seven miracles of Jesus before Jesus died. Amazing miracles. And I should know because I'm actually the last miracle mentioned. And even though John records those seven miracles, he also says, that these are the ones that I have chosen to put in because Jesus did many more miracles. But John chose these seven so that people might believe. This is what actually said. Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you might have life through his name. So, the seven miracles. We love a wedding, don't we? And weddings for us, well, they lasted for days. Loads of guests, and Jesus was at a wedding. Jesus was there with his mom and disciples, and there was a real problem happened. The guests were left without any wine. Oh, that was a big problem. No one runs out of wine at a wedding. It was so embarrassing. And they came to Mary. Mary must have something to do with the catering. And they said, we've no more wine. What are we going to do? And Mary called Jesus. And Jesus didn't really want to be there or do anything. But Mary told the servants, listen, go to Jesus, and whatever he says, do it. And Jesus was asked by the servants if he would turn water into wine. And that's what he did. The miracle was that Jesus turned only water into the most amazing wine. It was the best wine any wedding was going to have. And I realize now that this miracle, this first miracle, was to let people know that what was coming was that Jesus was going to bring something far better rather than just the Jewish faith as they had experienced it. That was the first miracle. You should have heard the conversation of people talking about that wedding. But then there's a second one. And the second miracle that John wrote was a different kind of miracle. It was a miracle where he actually healed somebody. Again, he was in Cana. And you should have heard the people talking about Jesus. You see, the word had got out that Jesus had performed this wine from water miracle. And they were there and really excited when they realized that Jesus was in Cana. There was a sort of like an army ruler. And he came when I realized that Jesus was there and said, listen, Jesus, would you please go and heal my son? He lives in Capernaum. And Jesus said, but tell me more. And the officer called Jesus Sir, which everyone knew meant that even though this important, high up ranked officer, that he recognized that Jesus was even more powerful than he was. Said that his son was sick and that Jesus could heal him. But Jesus says, okay, don't worry, your son's fine. And the officer went off home, but he was met by his servants on the way to the house. He says, okay, don't worry, your son is healed. And the officer seemed to ask servants when, and it worked out that the boy started to get well again exactly the moment that Jesus said, your son will be okay. The third one was a bit funny. There was a man sitting by the healing pool. This pool was a pool at Bethsaida. And the tradition was that people would go there who were not well, and that it was believed that an angel stirred the water of the pool, and the first person who could bathe in the pool after the spirit or an angel waved the water would then they'd be healed. And there's a man that was sitting there for 38 years. And Jesus went in and began to speak to him. And the man asked, would you heal me? And Jesus said, how long have you been there? He said, 38 years. And Jesus said, do you not want to be healed? But then what happened was that Jesus said to the man, without going near the pool, he says, get up, take up your mat, kind of bed, and walk. And the man thought, I've been here for 38 years and can't walk. Are you not listening, Jesus? But Jesus said again, take up your mat and walk. And what happened was the man took up his mat and walked. It was unbelievable. 38 years. And the church leaders began to get a bit excited about this, not in a good way. They were fuming that Jesus had healed this man. And they tried to get the man to say it was all a fraud, that there's nothing wrong with him for the 38 years. But then Jesus met him at the temple. The man didn't know exactly who it was that healed him. And whenever the leaders caught up with the healed man, he was able to say that Jesus healed him. And they decided then, this man will have to die. In fact, they would have even killed the man who was going to be, that was healed as well. They so did not want Jesus to get the name, to become a celebrity, especially if he started to talk in terms of the Messiah. Well, the fourth miracle, it was an incredible miracle. Jesus walked around teaching, and he walked by the lake or he walked by the hillside, and people would have sat there for hours and listened to everything that Jesus would say. And there's one day that they were out from anywhere really, and there's 5,000 men, plus all their wives, plus all the children. And it came lunchtime, and Jesus said, these people are hungry. Now, none of them had brought anything with them to eat. So Jesus said to his disciples, go and see if there's anybody's any food. And they went and saw a wee boy did have a packed lunch. And the packed lunch consisted of 5 wee baps, 5 rolls, and 2 fish. Well, Jesus took that, blessed it. There was enough food for everybody. Plus, he was able to take back 12 baskets of leftovers. What an amazing miracle. You know, people were starting to see that Jesus was some kind of boyo, and they wanted to make him king then and there. But Jesus didn't want that. But certainly people knew who Jesus was after that miracle. The fifth miracle, well, it happened during the night, really, or the night after. You see, Jesus had gone up a mountain to pray. And the disciples had gone out in their boat and were in the lake. And Jesus realized that the disciples were stranded out in the lake during really strong currents and high winds, and the waves started to get up. So Jesus went down, and we're told that Jesus walked on the water. For about 3 miles, he walked down into the lake. And the weather's getting really bad and stormy, and the disciples weren't sure what to do. And Jesus was almost towards the boat when the disciples recognized Jesus. And Jesus could see their fear, and they called out to him. They didn't recognize that it was Jesus until he was right there. And Jesus walked up to the boat 3 miles out from the shore and climbed in. And as Jesus got into the boat, the disciples said that the winds just stopped, they died down, the waves and the lake all calm. Wow. That really not spooked the disciples, but it's as if they recognized who Jesus was the first time, and following that, they worshipped Jesus as the Son of God. The penny dropped for the disciples after that miracle, the fifth one. The sixth miracle was the final straw for the Jews, really, the Jewish leaders. The sixth miracle, well, after it, as I say, the leaders decided to kill Jesus. Again, it was an amazing kind of a miracle. But Jesus was walking in Jerusalem at this stage, and he walked past a blind man. And the blind man, well, he wanted to be healed. He had heard about Jesus, obviously he couldn't see him. And when Jesus was there, he called out for help. And all the Pharisees, all the leaders, they were furious again. They were now following Jesus to note down everything that he was saying. Well, anyway, eventually, to cut a long story short, Jesus spat on the ground, made some mud, and put the mud on the eyes of the blind man. And the blind man was told to go and wash himself. And he went, and he washed himself and came back being able to see. Oh, the Pharisees were livid. Why? Because this was being done on the Sabbath day. And Jesus was breaking all the rules. And some of the disciples also said, "Tell me this, Jesus, who was at fault here? Was the man who's blind, was it because of his sin or his parents' sin?" And they had just still got it so wrong. And Jesus said, "No, this man was blind, and my Father was able to glorify himself by healing him." Well, that was enough. The Pharisees, as I say, they couldn't have anybody saying that they were God. And they decided to start to arrange for Jesus' death. Which brings me to the last miracle, me. You see, my name is Lazarus. You may know me. I have two sisters, Mary and Martha. Mary, well, she was quite placid, but Martha was the hothead of the three of us. Well, I took on well. And they sent word to Jesus to tell him to come and to be there for me and to heal me. After all the stories of Jesus healing had gone out everywhere. But Jesus didn't come. And eventually Jesus started to come, but it was too late. I was dead. And whenever Jesus arrived, I had already been buried 4 days. When Jesus arrived, seeing me, Martha went out and really chewed him. She was so annoyed that he hadn't cared for them. She said, "I thought we were your friends and you didn't come when we needed you." And Jesus said, "It's okay. It will be okay. Take me to the tomb." And they went to the tomb, and Jesus said, "Roll the stone away." And it was Martha again that said, "Hold on a second, he's been here 4 days, he stinks. Don't roll the stone away." But Jesus said, "Roll the stone away." When they rolled the stone away, yes, there was a stench came out. But Jesus stood and looked at the open tomb, and he called out, "Lazarus, come out." I find it impossible really to fully describe what was going on for me. You see, I was in heaven. I was experiencing heaven, at least as far as I know. I could hear the angels. And then I heard my name. It seemed from a distance. I couldn't see because I had bandages all over, not just my eyes, but my whole body. But there's something happened. My arms and legs I could feel again. And my legs became strong, and I sat up and I saw the light in the tomb, and I walked outside. I wasn't that happy because I'd been in heaven, but I walked outside, and the delight that I saw on my sisters' faces was worth it. The results of that miracle not only was that I'm here now to tell you the story, but people didn't like it. And they wanted to kill me. They wanted to kill Jesus, which they did eventually on a cross. But more about that from some of my other friends. But John, again, remember, he said that he will tell these stories so that people might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you might have life through his name. The miracles, as I say, there are many more than that, but those 7 are the ones that John records. And he did so that you and I might believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and that we might believe and have life. Oh, I have life now. I know what life's going to be like even when I die. But listen, I need to tell you, do you have life? Do you believe in Jesus as I believe in Jesus? As the 12 or 5,000 and women and children believe in Jesus? As the blind man or the lame man believes in Jesus? Jesus is real. And he wants you, like the disciples, not to just believe Jesus existed, but recognize that Jesus is the Son of God and is to be worshipped. Please, please believe in Jesus and have life.